Hi, Natalia, Mateus. Thank you for allowing me to observe your class. This is your class observation feedback video. And first, I will start mentioning the two focus areas chosen in stage one of this project by you with Andres Pardo, right? The first focus area was teaching methodology, and the second focus area was formative and summative assessment. Additionally, our mentor teacher chose another focus area for you, which was the same formative and summative assessment. So based on these focus areas, I will start giving you the feedback of the second class observation we had in stage 3 of this project. Let's start first with the teaching methodology. Something I liked about your class was that you organize your students in pairs. You foster teamwork and cooperation. Pairs had to cooperate and organize the order of the words you wrote on the board. I also observed that L2 was always used as a means of communication and instruction during the whole class. It was good that L2 or English was used all the time. However, students in the teams were not using L2 when they were cooperating. It would be good to bring already set materials to the class, such as worksheets, presentation, PowerPoints, games, gamification activities, etc. Also, gamification could be a strategy to maintain students' focus on the activities you design or you create, because sometimes they were a little bit doing other things in the class. Some recommendations about this class. Have you tried designing your lessons using Canvas, Peer Deck, or PowerPoint? Sorry. It would be a good opportunity for you to take advantage of the time you dedicate to write on the board during the class. I noticed that the students were more focused on working or using their mobile phones and not focused on the class activities. Have you tried also to include tasks in which they use their mobile phones to participate? One way of doing this could be by incorporating digital mediation tools such as Kahoot, Mentimeter, Quizlet, Quizize, etc. I think this could be a very good strategy because the students were focused on their phones and you were focused on the class or on the board. So I think that if you incorporate those tools, I think they can be more engaged into the class activities. Another recommendation would be, have you considered having a student-centered approach instead of a teacher talking time approach? For you as a teacher, it would be easier to manage the class because they will be busy and your work could be just to facilitate and monitor learning. I noticed that most of the students were not paying attention to the class and they were not working on the tasks you designed. Now let's focus our attention on the focus area number 2, that was formative and summative assessment. Regarding this area, I observed that you evaluated your students while they were passing the board. One summative strategy that you used was to ask students to write sentences using the grammar given, and then you corrected and gave feedback about their written products. Something that I think you could include in your planning might be to create your own class presentations in which you design everything, including the way you will evaluate your students. Also, bear in mind that assessment must have formative and summative components. How to evaluate formatively? You could create some prompts or models that students will follow and then ask the rest of students if the product they created was right or was wrong. How to evaluate summatively? One way of doing this is to ask students to take a digital mediation quiz using Kahoot, Quizlet, Quizize, etc. I recommend you to find a way in which you arrive to class with all the content and materials already designed. It is not a good strategy to arrive to the class to write things on the board, because by doing this you lose valuable time, right? So if you bring the activities and the sources already designed, it will be easier for you, because you just will facilitate the learning environment. Now focus on the third focus area, or paying attention to the third focus area that was also formative and summative assessment. I observed that the assessment did not follow the suggested patterns of the suggested English curriculum. The summative and formative components were not evident in the class I participated, as well as the digital mediation tools and gamification strategies. One way to evaluate students is by asking them to participate in competition. I realized that most of them were using their mobile phones. They were just paying attention to other things, as I told you. So I think that it would be better for them if you try to include more meaningful activities, right? One last recommendation about assessment. Have you thought of creating a survey and asking your students the way they would like to be evaluated? I think that this could give you some ideas of what interests they have and how they want to be evaluated. Maybe you can bear in mind this idea, and maybe to apply a survey to them maybe next year. Based on this, I would recommend an action plan for next year, focusing or suggesting you to focus your attention on students' interactions, patterns, and teaching methodology. Regarding students' interaction patterns, if you dedicate yourself to plan your classes by including already designed materials such as PowerPoints, etc., you could foster students' interactions. One way of doing this is by creating prompts that they can follow as models, and then asking them to follow the model and to create their oral or written products. Now, regarding the teaching methodology, you need to design presentations, Canvas, PowerPoints, etc. Per class with already set materials and activities. Stop designing in the class and dedicate more time to reflect on the importance of doing this in advance, right? So these were like the two things of the action plan, and I hope you can apply this for next year. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing me to be in your class. Have a nice day.